everyone. So welcome back to our channel.
Hello.
If you're new here, my name is Jen and this is my boyfriend Jason, and we're going to be doing a quick video today for people who have loved ones with multiple health issues. I thought it'd be important to do this video so that you can kind of know how, from our perspective, how Jason felt about the things that were affecting me and the challenges that I was going through. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a little drive to go pick up our food, and I am going to ask him some questions and have him give some answers for you guys so that you can see basically how he felt about the situation. So without further ado, you ready for this?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay, so let's get started. Question number one is, what was your initial reaction to me telling you I had health issues when we first met, such as at the time I had bipolar disorder?
In all honesty, I wasn't sure what to expect. So I kind of had to approach it with a mentality of, I'll kind of figure it out when we get there.
What do you mean by when we get there?
Like,
or do you mean
with bipolar, I didn't know what that fully entailed.
Mm-hmm.
I figured it was basically mood swings and stuff like that.
Well, I think I was pretty open and honest with you about having a psychotic disorder.
Yes, but at the same time, I don't think that I really knew what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I probably would have been a little bit frightened of it had I known at the time and when we first started what it would be like. But it's kind of a...
Frightened in what way? Like you would shy away from me, or?
I don't know that I would necessarily know what to do. And I think that for the most part, like, being, having sort of, I was thinking that manic depressive was more like extreme mood swings rather than, in addition to psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I'm like, okay, well, she has, more pronounced mood swings than other people. Okay, I think I can handle that. And
well, like, delving further into the question, when you found out what it was really about and what it was really like, how did that make you feel?
Scared, actually.
Yeah.
To be blatantly frank, yeah. I got kind of used to sort of the moodiness of it, which, okay, I adapted to that, and then, at one point, I think I probably got a call from your mom or someone saying that that you had a psychotic break or something like that. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And when I saw you were having a manic episode in that you were talking and talking and talking, and like I could tell that there were things that it was like you take all of your thoughts that I know that you had and sort of mash them all together and break it apart and shake it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then pour it out in the form of speech. And it just kept coming out in little bits of thoughts that I know, reflect your true thoughts, but they don't make sense.
Yeah, that was probably pretty scary for you.
Yeah, it was. And I know that right before that you had not slept for an extended period of time, and I originally thought maybe you just needed to sleep, and yeah, so that just wasn't happening. You were in a manic state. You were not going to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of my initial experience with it. And then the second time that you had an episode, I kind of knew what to expect a little bit more, but I don't remember if that was the time that you disappeared.
I don't remember.
Yeah, at the time I was actually working. I had sort of a split shift, so I would work a couple hours in the morning, then come home and take a nap, and then wake up and go back out for my afternoon and evening shifts. And so it was kind of a fairly long day, so I had to have that nap in the middle. And so I'd gotten home and I went to sleep, and then I woke up and saw that I had a missed call from you, and you left me a voicemail, and you sounded frantic, and you were like, honey, I need you to call me back. This is really important. And then, then you hung up, and I tried calling you back. And this wasn't like an extended period of time that I called you back after you had called. It was only 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so when I tried calling back, you didn't answer, which was unusual. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll try calling her a little bit later. And I tried calling back a little bit later, before my afternoon shift, and you still didn't answer. And I don't remember how long I waited, but it's probably at least a few hours that I tried to get a hold of you, and ended up trying to call your mom. She hadn't heard from you, and you had taken her van, and yeah, you had pretty much just vanished. You were driving all over the place, apparently.
Yeah.
And eventually we ended up calling the police, and they were able to find the van and you, and
Well, I don't think that they found me. I think they happened on me and then realized that.
Well, they saw if I remember correctly, they saw the van was parked on the side of the road, and
Well, what had happened is I ended up at a gas station, and it was really late at night, so the gas station was closed, and I was kind of just sitting there at the pump with the van, sitting in the car, and they said that I was doing something suspicious, so that's why they came up to the van.
Yeah, and the reason why she didn't have her phone was, well, she got it in her head that she was being tracked, her location was being tracked by the phone, and she threw it out the window.
Yeah, I threw my phone out the window.
So, yeah, at least we had insurance on it, so we could just do an insurance claim and get a new phone. But,
Okay, we spent like over 10 minutes on this one. I want to move on to the second part of this question,
okay.
which is when I was diagnosed at 31 with diabetes on top of my bipolar disorder. What were your thoughts and feelings about the diagnosis?
In all honesty, I kind of think that, and I still think this to some degree, is that diabetes can be managed through diet, especially.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that it would be difficult to restrict food intake, but I don't think that's something that we can manage. I think that's something that we have managed.
Okay, so here I'm going to go on to the next part of this. We're still like talking about, the things that I have going on with my health issues. So I'm going to ask you, what did it feel like when I initially had the symptoms for my blood clotting disorder? As well as when you heard that I was going to have my toes amputated.
Yeah, I was a little afraid of that. I'd say that initially, that I wasn't sure what it was when your foot started acting weird.
Mm-hmm.
I had known that you had, I think you actually at one point had stepped on a piece of a light bulb and had glass embedded in your foot, which is, and now I can hear everyone cringing right now. And we'd gotten most of it. We were able to get most of it out, and I wasn't sure if it was related to that. I'm not even sure that it's the same foot. But I also knew that I'm not sure what the I wasn't sure what the issue was.
Yeah.
And
you're talking about when my foot started displaying the symptoms of the redness and stiffness and
yeah,
and all that.
and I was thinking at that point that it could have been neurological.
Mm-hmm.
Considering your other, mental disorders and stuff. I didn't know if it was related, or your diabetes, or
Yeah, a lot of people go straight to diabetes and they think that's why my toes were amputated, but they actually told me that it had nothing to do with the diabetes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I wasn't sure what it was.
Okay, what was it like for you each time I was hospitalized? And that you can answer in two parts. You can talk about for mental health as one part, and for my foot and leg is another part, or you can combine it all together. It's up to you.
Well, I'll say this. The first time you were hospitalized was that, from when I was with you, was for mental health. And again, you were... Yeah. Yeah. See the previous answer, how she was. But like when I went to visit you in the hospital the first time, they hadn't, it was kind of a visiting area, and then there was the rooms, which is segregated off from the main visiting area. Mm-hmm. And you were in your room, and they had to basically come get you and have you come out to the visiting area. And so went into the hospital to come get you, and I don't know what to expect at this point. And I wasn't sure like how permanent this episode was, and so I'm sitting there waiting for you. There's a tiny little window in the door between the rooms and the visiting area, and so I'm waiting, and all of a sudden I hear, "There's my honey," from on the other side of the door, and I'm like, okay, I can do this.
Aww.
And yeah, so at that point I knew that this would be something that I'd be able to kind of stick out, know that there's going to be some rough times, but most of the time I have my honey.
Okay, there's only 2 more questions.
Okay, wait. That's just the mental health one.
I'm so sorry.
That's just the mental health one. So when you actually went into the hospital for physical ailments, I was worried, obviously, since you had surgery. I was kind of a little annoyed by some of the doctors, though, that couldn't make up their mind when you were actually going to have surgery.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Or to what extent. Mm-hmm. There were actually a few times that I had requested off to come visit you in the hospital before you had your surgery, and I'd get out there, and I remember at one point they were literally beginning to wheel you to the operating room. They'd come to your room and began wheeling out your bed and brought it out to the hallway, and were about to push you down the hall when the doctor came and said, no, we're rescheduling it.
Wow, that's crazy.
And keep in mind that I had actually requested off that day to come see you. Mm-hmm. So that is frustrating, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. So, like, how was your mental state when I was going through that?
I mean, it was tough, but at the same time, I knew that we'd get through it somehow.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on that one?
No, I would say, I was a little worried if you were going to be able to walk afterwards. Thankfully you are. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
For those of you just joining this channel, I probably should have said this at the beginning, but I had all 5 toes on my right foot amputated, and that was done over the course of 2 separate surgeries.
Yeah.
But I want to get to this next question. I want to know what it was. Okay, sorry, that was the wrong question.
Actually, do you want to do that question after we get the food?
Okay.
Since we're just about here.
Okay, let's turn this off and we'll come right back.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. So, move on to these last 2 questions. And the next one is, what are the challenges of being with someone who's handicapped/disabled?
I mean, for the most part, it's just that you don't get around as much. So, thankfully, we had the Peanut to help out. So she does help out. I mean, initially when you couldn't move at all, that was a bit kind of gross and stuff. And I kind of felt bad because, of the humiliation of having to use a portable toilet. And so as far as that goes, like the very short term, it was a bit tricky, and then you got somewhat better and were able to adapt, and I was able to adapt as well. And so I think that for the most part, that's kind of the theme of the challenges in this relationship.
Well, what do you think about other issues, like the possibility of maybe I won't be able to go to a concert ever again because it's such a lot of walking? That
wouldn't be nice, but I would think that most concerts, most venues have some sort of accommodations to allow handicapped access.
So you're thinking maybe I could go with a wheelchair or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, that might work too.
I know that, like, for example, that you can't really walk around the grocery store like if you go to Aldi. But when you go in there, they have wheelchairs, and then we can push you around so that we can have you go where you need to. So there are accommodations. Are there certain things that you're probably not going to be able to do? Yeah. But there are certain things that you might not think that you can do that you can with certain accommodations. So.
And what are the challenges of the mental health aspect?
Not knowing what to expect from day to day. The thing about the mental health is that it doesn't happen most of the time. Most of the time you're pretty much my honey. But sometimes, when you do have an episode, it tends to happen very suddenly. And another thing too, I think that there are things that did sort of lead to some of your mental breaks, in that
you mean some big trigger factors?
Well, I don't know if I should say this, but I was thinking more along the lines of medical negligence.
Oh, yeah. That's for another video, though.
Yeah, we'll just say that that there were problems with the healthcare you were receiving.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that definitely led to more episodes earlier on in our relationship, but thankfully that's something that that eventually did get remedied, and you seem to be pretty stable for...
Well, I've been stable for over 4 years now.
Yeah.
I haven't had any hospitalizations or any like serious problems with symptoms, so...
And you've had access to your medicine pretty much consistently, so that's actually a big portion of it. So.
Okay, you ready for the final question?
Yes.
Okay, it is, what advice do you have to give for people with loved ones going through a similar situation, and how would you direct them to show their support?
Well, I think that for the most part that you just gotta take it day by day. Sometimes things things for your loved ones will change, but you gotta just realize that sometimes stuff happens, and it's not like for everything that it was difficult for me. I can only imagine how it was for you, and sometimes you just gotta take a step back and say, this is really difficult for everyone, and we need to get through it together.
I'd like to point out, though, that at least for me, is when you're going through this with a loved one, when they recover, try to not make it all about you and how you were feeling, because it's, as bad as it is for you, it's going to be like a million times worse for the person going through it.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's very true.
Do you have anything further to add?
No, I think that's definitely as a loved one, I could be like, oh, why is this happening to me, that everything is falling apart, but it's like, my honey is actually experiencing a lot worse than I am. Having the difficulty, and well, you know what? We need to get through it together, and I need to be there for you. And if you need my support, I will be there.
Well, that would be my biggest advice too.
And that being said, it's not always easy.
No, it's not. And I can't imagine what it must have been like for some of the people who are in my support system to have to experience me going through things that are very difficult like that. I'm sure it must have been very trying and challenging, and that's part of the reason why I'm having us make this video, because I just want to put that out into the universe that, this is us and this is what we did. So hopefully this video can help someone else.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it, I think, unless you have anything further to add.
No, that's pretty much it.
All right, if you got this far in the video, why not subscribe to my channel if you haven't already? And please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. And why don't you share me out so more people know about my YouTube?
And also, if you do have any difficulties that you're facing, if you have your own YouTube channel, if you want to make your own YouTube channel and make your story known, or that can be a little bit of a process. But if you don't want to do that, you can tell us about your experiences in the comments section.
That is true. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Have a nice day.